Hello, everyone. Take a load off. We're just pondering about my experiences when I was doing rideshare, and I came across the thought of that a lot of individuals that hopped into my vehicle they need to take a load off. Again, I dealt with different personalities, so with each ride, someone was experiencing something different. But in conclusion, that's one thing I came along the way, along the journey. So much so that after sunrise, some of the rides started where the client will hop into the back seat and they would say things such as, I'm glad I'm off work. It's been a long day. And then some would say, it's been a long week. I need a vacation. And then there was individuals that would say, when I get home, I need to take a load off. Now, no matter if you're doing ride share, if you're calling on the ride share, people need to take a load off. You can't spend all waking hours working. Now, there's 24 hours in a day, so the earlier one gets his or her day up, they can get to it and knock a lot of things out. Excuse me. But it could be challenging, to take a load off because, we all have responsibilities. After that, we have goals that we're trying to accomplish. Um, Enough people are trying to accomplish those goals in silence. And then there's other individuals that are trying to accomplish their goals in silence. However, in order to get what they want to get done, it requires other people, other factors. Because even an individual working solo, eventually, if one is able to upskill their business, then they're going to be interdependent, meaning they're going to need other people to do certain roles. In fact, as it pertains to taking a load off, as it pertains to ride sharing, there's been events within history and studies that shown that it's always good for people to delegate over time rather than trying to do everything by his or herself, depending on what it is. Because working too hard or doing everything by yourself, it can become taxing to the mind as well as to the body. And one thing that will help um, people that would hop in my vehicle taking ride share was them being able to take a load off. I mean, some clients they never said it, but I could tell in their tone. Sometimes they were talking to their business colleague. Other times, folks were talking to their kids. They were talking to their significant other. And then there were sometimes they were just venting to me. But with me listening and driving, me active listening, I was like, yeah, they need to take a load off. And yes, some on some occasions, this was on a Friday, and my hypothesis at the time, I was like, well, he or she is going to take a load off. But as I drive a few more miles and for a few more minutes, they would say, and I have to work tomorrow. Or I have to take Johnny up the road to play golf. I have to take Sarah to swimming classes. I have to take Kenneth to coding class. So, again, I understand for most people, you know, there's a lot of things on individuals' calendars. In fact, as it pertains to me, and maybe you all can relate to this, I remember one time I did ride share numerous of times, but on this occasion, I started in the wee hours of the morning. It was about 4:30, and I did 12 hours straight. But by the fifth day, I told myself, and I actually did through my actions, I took a load off. You know, I took a load off. And a load off to me is just me resting, just sitting still, not really doing anything, roughly for 24 to 72 hours. And when I had clients in my back seat, that's what I would advocate for them. Sometimes they ask for my opinion. Sometimes I just volunteered it because I feel as though I was just trying to help them. Again, it wasn't coming from a place of me being nosy or trying to be in a business. And sometimes people can tell another person something. On different occasions, the individual just needs a different voice, a different perspective. And what not a better perspective than someone you don't really know, knowing that this individual isn't going to judge you, or you can just be free. You ain't gotta wear no mask, you ain't gotta false advertise, you ain't got one doesn't have to internalize. Because again, taking a load off is imperative. You know, if you don't believe me, just check through your social media or really pay attention to your coworkers, and you'll see that they're burnt out. In fact, there's even some folks that do ride share, the driving, and you have those that do ride share that just take it because their vehicle is out of commission for the moment, or their license is suspended, or they just flat out don't have a vehicle. If you really communicate with them and listen to them, you will see that there's a very, very good chance that they need to take a load off. I know that's a cliche, but it's a true cliche. It definitely is. That's all part of health. We know if you don't have your health, you don't really have anything. So it's like there's a fine line, a fine, fine line. I mean, we know that taking a load off is imperative just because, by the way, the rideshare apps set everything up. I mean, as a former rideshare app driver, I mean, they put a cap on how long I could drive 12 hours. And it makes sense. They were so with it in a positive way. And I think initially maybe that wasn't the case. I believe that um, they follow the guidelines of like CDL drivers for truck drivers and things like that. They figure like, hey, after 12 hours, we're gonna force you to take a load off. And if the rideshare apps creators put that in the guidelines, then it's only right that people that hop in the back seat of your car from all walks of life, that eventually they need to take a load off. They need to, and they'll take a load off either on their own or when their body tells them to. Y'all tell me in the comments what you all think. Are you at the point in your life where you feel as though you need to take a load off? This could be someone that does ride share on a consistent basis, or as a side hustle, or as a business, or a person who just hop in to someone else's vehicle because they need the ride share to get them to point A to point B. Or it could be an individual speculating on getting into the ride share business, the ride share opportunities. Just tell me what you all think, because I don't believe I'm alone in this. I believe taking a load off is very vital, very vital. We go through our history, we can see. Because there was a time where the work week was a certain period, number of hours one could work, certain period for adults and even for kids. So, yeah, yes, indeed. So, like, share, and subscribe. Just wanted to bring y'all this today because it's Labor Day, so happy Labor Day to everyone. And this is a day that enough of people are taking the load off. So again, like, share, and subscribe. Click the link below to grab my book, and I'll talk to you all on the next one. Peace.